Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, we've got more stuff to cover. But first, my subscriber Carrie sent this picture of her cat Lilibet that was caught in mid-yawn, or she said mid-screech, depending on how you looked at it. That cat looks evil. Now, at the same time, I got a comment from my subscriber Julie that said that cat face is funny, but if you want to see a funny face, look at my husband when I tell him he can't go fishing. All right, let's jump in and get going. All right, we're going to start off with Zara and Mike, who continue to be in surfers' paradise on Australia's Gold Coast on Tuesday. Now, as you can see, Zara is on the back of a horse. There are numbers, so I'm not sure what this event was. I don't know if it was a fundraiser or an actual race of some kind, but she obviously was horseback riding, and they look like they're just having a phenomenal time. Good for them. Now, I can tell you that there is an event down there called the Magic Millions event, and Princess Anne's daughter was announced as the inaugural Magic Millions Racing Women Ambassador in 2012. So they've gone there every year basically since 2015. I'm pretty sure that anything with horse racing, her husband, and Australia with their fabulous weather, especially right now, it's so gloomy in the UK. You put all that together and you have, the makings of a fabulous getaway. All right, let's move on now to the big stuff for today. Now, before I told you about 10 big things that were in the book, now we're going to look at 6 debunked claims, actually more than 6. Let's go. Number 1 is that Camilla leaked information to the press. Now, according to Harry, Camilla leaked the meeting, her first ever meeting with his brother, to the press. Of course, we found out later on, or Camilla found out later on, that had actually been done by an aide who reported the conversation to her husband, who in turn told a colleague, who then informed a newspaper. The aide apologized and left the post, saying that she regretted what she had said and what she had done, and she was sorry for the distress. According to him, stories were appearing, private conversations with William that could only have come from her, and that it was Camilla that leaked the story about Meghan making Catherine cry. And believe it or not, he also claims that Camilla and Charles are the ones who leaked the story that William had an affair on Catherine. Sorry, I don't believe that at all. He even said William called him up one day complaining to him that Pa did it again. He put out a damaging story. I notice he talks a lot for William. All right, moving on. Next up, the next inconsistency is Harry having to do with the Queen Mother's death. He wrote in his book, "Days later at Eton while studying, I took a call. I wish I could remember whose voice was on the other end. A courtier's, I believe. I recall it was just before Easter, the weather bright and warm, light slanting through the window. 'Your Royal Highness,' he said, 'the Queen Mother has died.'" There's a little problem with that, though. When the Queen Mother died, Harry was in Switzerland skiing with William and Charles. Now, if he can make a mistake on this, what does that tell you about the rest of the book? The third debunked claim has to do with what Meghan was wearing on their first date, because she said it was a blue dress, and that is not what Harry said. It's a small detail, but the devil is in the details, aren't they? Number 4, the fourth debunked thing is Charles and Camilla's wedding. It's amazing. It sounds in the book like he's 5 years old. "I pleaded with him not to marry her, and I knew without question this marriage was going to take Dad away from us." Problem is, other people were there as well, and they saw Harry at the wedding, and they said he looked very happy and pleased for the couple. Next up was the news of the Queen's death, also debunked. According to Harry, Meghan was texting him, and his phone lit up, and that's where he realized something was wrong, and he found out by checking the BBC website that she'd already passed away. But that's not true. The king apparently would not allow the official statement to be released until all members of the family had been informed, including Harry. Next up, you have Harry reporting on William's wedding, talking about the red uniform of the Irish Guard that he wore. Harry claims William was upset over having to wear that. That's been debunked, however, by Robert Hardman, who said that when he spoke to William shortly after his wedding, he was not upset about the uniform at all. Here's another debunk. Harry said that he shops for his everyday clothes at TJ Maxx during their annual sale. Unfortunately, TJ Maxx doesn't offer an annual sale, and they came out and said that while they're very happy that Harry is a fan, they don't do sales. They offer great value, styles, and savings year-round. Now remember, Harry said before that security was pulled with no notice. They had no idea what was going to happen. Meghan asked if it was going to pull. Harry was like, no, they would never. Well, he writes right there in the book that he was given options, and option 5 was severance, no royal roll, no security. And severance pay only lasts for a year, which was about how long Charles paid him an allowance, essentially. But then he writes, well, there was going to be like a hybrid. There was going to be a 1 year, transitioning period. By the way, that's the 1 year that Harry and Meghan didn't want, and the Queen insisted on it, thinking they might want to come back. All right, now we're getting into the whole thing where Meghan went into labor, and the whole thing went wrong with sending out the text message about who was, in labor, when in labor. And according, again, to Harry, it wasn't his fault. Sarah Latham, he says, well, I had a fight with her because Meghan's not in labor anymore. And he said it was Sarah that said the press must be given the dramatic, suspenseful story they wanted. Well, why don't you lift Sarah's NDA and let her speak for herself? I also want to point it out that according to Harry, Meghan had an epidural and then was put in a bath. You don't get in the bath with an epidural, and there's no way 2 hours after delivering, if she had an epidural, that she would have been released from the hospital and able to walk. So now I had to look at the Times. They said that reading this book was like reading Mein Kampf, the book that Hitler wrote, that he's a great hero and you put the book down with absolute disgust, total disgust. I believe it. All right, now let's move on to Harry's TV appearance. Now, Harry is going around making the rounds, trying to sell himself and trying to undo the damage that he did about the 25 kills in Afghanistan. He sat on the stage with this TV host downing tequila. That's not a big deal because after all, we now know that for essentially 25 years, Harry's been a drug addict. He sat there while this talk show host mocked most of his family. Now, here's the interesting part. Harry says, I didn't boast about killing 25 Taliban fighters. That's not true. He says the critics spinned his words and now his family's in danger. Without a doubt, he says, the most dangerous lie that they have told is that I somehow boasted about the number of people I killed in Afghanistan. So, yes, he did say how many people he killed in Afghanistan. Yes, they do keep the kill counts. No, nobody talks about it, Harry. Don't you understand that? Very interesting, and I'm not sure how this is going on, but Harry made the outrageous claim that the royals were trying to undermine his memoir. They haven't said anything. They haven't done anything. Again, this shows Harry's, in my opinion, his paranoia. Now, what he said or what he suggested was proof that it was being undermined was what the British press was publicizing. That somehow that's the royal family's fault. That the fact that people are finding that he lied or there's inconsistencies, that's the royal family's fault. Get it? Now, this is very interesting. Dawn Marie wrote that there was a special audience when the vets were clapping, and Colbert told the crowd they would not get to see the royal in the flesh due to security reasons. The whole thing was pre-taped. Apparently, people were made to sit outside in the cold for an hour while this was going on. And so people were saying, why did filming end early? F Prince Harry. Others saying it wasn't worth waiting an hour in the cold. Who needs Prince Harry? Another person actually said, he's not even in line to the throne. What's the problem? the people said that Harry creates his own drama, and if it's your family and your safety, then why are you doing the interview in the first place? Now, you should know that what they did was they stacked the audience. It's the exact same thing that they did with Meghan Markle when she went on the Ellen show, and they only invited certain people to be in the audience because they weren't going to take any chances of anybody booing him or telling him to get on with his frickin', life. And here's a clip from November 23rd, 2021, my video. Just a reminder, watch this. I thought it was a little odd that this was supposedly a surprise and nobody knew about it, and then this came out. Remember, people, this is television, okay? And remember they said this is a surprise, nobody knew she was there? So let's start with this. Remember this bit, the bad acting, where Meghan went out and was talking to vendors that just happened to be on the lot? Here's the 3 vendors. Take a look at their faces. Take a look at their shirts. Look at the markings. There they are. They just happen to be there on the lot selling their wares. Remember this? All right. Now, here's my point. It's a big surprise. Boom. There's your 3 vendors sitting in the Ellen audience. That's trip up number 1. Trip up number 2, people from Harvest Home LA. This is a group that Harry and Meghan gave a donation to. They were invited to sit in the audience of the Ellen show. So they basically filled up the audience with people that would want to see Meghan because there's no way they would take a chance that she would get booed. Point is, when they said it was a surprise to the audience and everybody was surprised, that was another lie. This was a total setup. So you should know that what little bit of audience there was stacked for Harry. And then he stayed in a Manhattan hotel at $3,500 a night. I have to agree with this article. Harry wants to be the people's prince, but deep down, he's just a snob. All right, we're going to digress back to another debunking. Prince Harry made some claims about Air New Zealand in his book, okay? What he claimed is that they called Thomas Markle when, this whole thing was going on with him and the paparazzi, right? And they said to him, a whole bunch of stuff is going to rain down on you. You need to get out of there. And we have a flight that's booked for you. Come to Britain now. He said it's an Air New Zealand, first class, booked and paid. The only problem was the airline said they never operated flights between those 2 countries. Boom. You guys should know that they did a poll, New Zealand did. The New Zealand, Herald. And they're behind the royal family, not Harry. Just to show you Harry's peace of mind, Prince Harry said in the Spare, quote, "While I was born a prince, I have come to be a prophet. I was sent here by God to abolish racism everywhere and expose the realities of royal life. And Meghan is to me what Mary Magdalene was to Jesus. No, I'm not kidding. That's straight from the book." All right, you guys, I have one more thing to discuss with you. I do not know if this is true. Let me repeat this. I do not know if this is true, but there are multiple reports all over Twitter that Prince Harry apparently beat some woman up. There was a story, Buckingham Palace suppressed it. It's being, suggested that this also happened since Harry's come to the United States. I do not know if this is true, but it would appear that Buckingham Palace is getting tired of covering up for him, and the victim in the UK, they're suggesting online, is going to step forward. And this could be ugly, you guys. I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm not sure what's happening. I really don't. Now, with all of that happening, Omid Scobie basically announced that they're retreating from the public for the rest of the year. This is January. Why would that be happening? You know what I'm saying? What the heck is happening? Interesting. I have to agree with this person. There were rays of light on Queen Elizabeth's coffin, double rainbows over Buckingham Palace and Westminster on the eve of the Queen's funeral, and vicious storms and mudslides on Montecito on the eve of the release of their book. I firmly believe that those are signs. Like, seriously. And speaking of that, a blind item came out saying that while the entire town of Montecito was being evacuated, Meghan Markle was demanding a helicopter. Somehow that just doesn't surprise me. All right, you guys, now a quick update on the fundraiser. This is how much as of the 11th that you guys have raised that we're going to be donating to the charity in the UK. And of course, I'll be matching up to 500. So we're over 1,000. Let's keep going. You guys are fabulous. You know, I saw this on Twitter and I had to laugh. Yes, they found the cougar, you know, the one who spanked Harry's rear end. Yup. Oh my God. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Leave those comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already hit the button, please double check and make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to go up into the description box and you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. For those of you who are donating to the coffee fund, remember that money for the month of January is going towards our fundraiser, and money put in through the thanks button is money for me. I hope you guys have a great evening, and as always, have a fabulous day.